The Deep Space Monitoring Station orbited Earth in complete silence. Inside the metal structure, hundreds of machines worked day and night, listening to the vast emptiness of space. Most days brought nothing but cosmic radiation and random signals from distant stars. Today was different. Dr. Emma Hayes sat at her desk, drinking cold coffee and reviewing signal patterns from the night shift. She had been working as Earth's lead alien communication specialist for 12 years. In all that time, she had never found anything that looked like intelligent alien life. The job had become routine, almost boring. The alarm changed everything. A sharp beeping sound filled the control room. Emma looked up from her papers and saw red lights flashing on the main computer screen. Signal strength was off the charts. This was not background noise or equipment error. Something was sending a powerful transmission directly toward Earth. "Rick, get over here," Emma called to Captain Rick Morrison, who was checking equipment on the other side of the room. Rick walked over quickly. He was a former military officer who had joined the space monitoring program 5 years ago. His job was to handle any signals that might be dangerous or require immediate action. "What do we have?" Rick asked, looking at the flashing screen. "Unknown transmission from the outer rim," Emma replied, her hands moving fast over the keyboard. "The signal is strong and directed. Someone is trying to talk to us." Rick felt his heart beat faster. After decades of silence from space, this could be the moment everything changed. "Can you decode it?" Emma worked for the next 6 hours. The alien language was unlike anything in Earth's computer databases. The mathematical patterns were strange, but slowly she began to understand the basic structure. Rick brought her food and coffee while she worked, neither of them leaving the control room. Finally, the first words appeared on the screen. "Help us." Emma stared at the translation, then looked at Rick. "This is a distress call." Over the next few hours, more of the message became clear. The aliens called themselves Valians. Their civilization was under attack by another alien race called the Krugan Empire. The Krugans had already destroyed 12 Valian worlds and were moving toward the Valian homeworld. The message contained images that made Emma feel sick. Burning cities, destroyed ships, and crowds of alien beings running in terror. The Valians looked nothing like humans. They were tall and thin, with skin that seemed to shine like crystal. Their cities were beautiful, full of gardens and art. Now those cities were being reduced to ash and rubble. "We have tried all peaceful solutions," the message continued. "We have offered tribute, trade agreements, and even complete surrender. The Krugans want only destruction. They take our resources and enslave our people. Our military cannot stop them. We are not warriors." Rick watched the images with growing anger. The Krugans appeared to be massive creatures, heavily built and covered in armor. Their ships were dark and angular, designed only for war. They showed no mercy to civilians, destroying everything in their path. "We send this message to all corners of the galaxy," the Valian transmission went on. "We have heard stories, legends perhaps, of a race called the Deathworlders. Beings who come from a world so dangerous that it created the ultimate warriors. We do not know if such beings exist, but if they do, we beg them to hear our call." Emma looked up at Rick. "They're talking about us." "What do you mean?" "Think about it," Emma said. "Earth is a death world compared to most planets. We have predators, natural disasters, diseases, and we've been fighting wars for thousands of years. To peaceful aliens, we would seem like ultimate warriors." The message continued with star charts and coordinates leading to the Valian homeworld. The final part of the transmission was a desperate plea. "If the legendary Deathworlders exist, if they have any mercy in their warrior hearts, please help us. We offer everything we have in return for our survival. Time is running out." Rick immediately called Admiral Kate Sullivan at Earth Defense Command. Admiral Sullivan was a tough woman who had spent 30 years in Earth's military. She had been in charge of humanity's space defense since the first colonies were established. "Admiral, we have a situation," Rick said when she answered. "We've received an alien distress call." There was silence on the other end of the communication line. Then Admiral Sullivan spoke carefully. "Are you certain this is real?" "Yes, Admiral. Dr. Hayes has verified the signal. We have images, star charts, and a clear message. An alien civilization is being destroyed and they're asking for our help. Send me everything, Admiral Sullivan ordered. I'm calling an emergency. Meeting of the Defense Council. Within hours, the news had reached the highest levels of Earth's government. The president, military leaders, and scientists gathered in the emergency command center deep below the capital city. For the first time in human history, they were discussing military action in alien space. General Marcus Webb, Earth's top military commander, studied the alien images on the main screen. These Krugans are systematic, he said. They're not just raiders. This is organized conquest. And the Valians? Asked the president. Dr. Hayes, who had been brought to the meeting, answered. They appear to be completely peaceful. Their technology is advanced, but they have no weapons. Their society seems to be built around art, science, and cooperation. They've never had to fight a war, which is why they're losing, General Webb added grimly. Admiral Sullivan stood up and addressed the room. The question before us is simple. Do we respond to this distress call or do we stay hidden and let these beings die? The debate that followed was intense. Some argued that humanity was not ready for galactic conflict. Others said that Earth's location might be discovered anyway, and it would be better to act from a position of strength. Dr. Hayes spoke up during a quiet moment. There's something else to consider. The Valians called us Deathworlders. That means other alien races know about us, at least in stories. Our isolation may already be ending. General Webb nodded. If we're going to be discovered eventually, it's better to control how it happens. And these Krugans sound like the kind of enemy we don't want to let grow stronger. The president looked around the room at the faces of Earth's leaders. The decision would change human history forever. How long do the Valians have? Emma checked her calculations. Based on the Krugan fleet movements shown in the transmission, maybe 3 weeks before they reach the Valian homeworld. That's not much time to prepare, Admiral Sullivan said. It's enough, General Webb replied. We have ships, weapons, and trained soldiers. More importantly, we have something these aliens have never seen before. We have human tactics, human determination, and human anger at injustice. The president made the decision that would wake the sleeping giant. We go. Admiral Sullivan, prepare our fastest ships and our best people. It's time for humanity to take its place in the galaxy. As the meeting ended and preparations began, nobody realized they were about to introduce the universe to something it had never seen before. Humans at war. Admiral Kate Sullivan walked through the halls of Earth Defense Command with quick, determined steps. The emergency meeting had ended 3 hours ago, but the real work was just beginning. She had been given the biggest task in human history: prepare Earth's first military mission to alien space. In the main planning room, dozens of officers and scientists worked at computer screens. Star charts filled the walls, showing the route to Valian space. The distance was enormous, but humanity's newest faster-than-light ships could make the journey in 2 weeks. General Marcus Webb stood near the tactical display, studying the alien ship designs. The Krugan vessels looked like giant metal spears, built for ramming in close combat. Their weapons appeared to be simple but powerful energy cannons. What do you think? Admiral Sullivan asked as she joined him. They fight like ancient warriors, General Webb replied. All force, no subtlety. They probably just charge straight at their enemies and overwhelm them with firepower. That worked against the Valians because the Valians don't fight back, Sullivan said. It won't work against us. Dr. Emma Hayes looked up from her computer where she was still analyzing the alien communications. Admiral, I've learned more about both species. The Valians evolved on a world with no large predators and very stable weather. They never needed to develop survival instincts or combat skills. And the Krugans? High-gravity world, dangerous environment. But their evolution was different from ours. They became big and strong, but they never learned complex tactics. Their battles are simple contests of strength. General Webb smiled grimly. Humans learned to fight smart because we were smaller and weaker than most of Earth's predators. We had to be clever to survive. Admiral Sullivan turned to address the room. Listen up, everyone. We have 2 weeks to prepare for humanity's first alien war. I want our best ships, our best weapons, and our best people ready to go. Commander Lisa Torres entered the planning room at that moment. She was tall and confident, with short black hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Torres had commanded 3 different warships and had never lost a battle during the colony wars 10 years earlier. Commander Torres, Admiral Sullivan said, "You'll be leading this mission. I'm giving you the battle cruiser Retribution and 2 escort ships." Torres nodded. "What's our mission objective, Admiral?" "Save the Valian civilization and show the galaxy that humanity is not to be messed with," Sullivan replied. "But do it smart. We don't know what other alien races might be watching." Over the next week, the Retribution was prepared for its historic mission. The ship was humanity's newest and most powerful warship, built with lessons learned from decades of space combat. Its armor could withstand massive energy blasts, and its weapons could destroy targets from incredible distances. Colonel Dave Park reported to Commander Torres on the 2nd day of preparations. Park was a veteran of ground combat, a stocky man, with graying hair and scars on his hands from old battles. He would command the Marine forces if ground combat became necessary. "Commander, my men are ready," Park said. "We've studied the alien footage and prepared for different combat scenarios." "What's your assessment of Krugan ground forces?" Torres asked. "Big, tough, but predictable," Park replied. "They rely on heavy armor and direct assault. Our mobility and tactics should give us a major advantage." Lieutenant Amy Chen joined them in the briefing room. She was young but brilliant, Earth's best tactical officer and an expert in space combat strategy. Chen had spent the past week creating battle plans for every possible scenario. "Lieutenant, show me what you've got," Torres ordered. Chen activated the holographic display. The Krugan fleet formation is simple but effective against stationary defenders. They form a wedge shape and drive straight at enemy positions using concentrated firepower to break through defenses. How do we counter that? "We don't fight them the way they expect," Chen said. "Instead of meeting them head-on, we use hit-and-run tactics. Strike from unexpected angles, then disappear before they can respond. Make them chase us while we pick them apart piece by piece." Torres studied the tactical display. "Show me the Valian defensive positions." "That's the problem," Chen said. "The Valians don't have defensive positions. Their ships are designed for exploration and trade, not combat. When the Krugans attack, the Valians just run away or surrender." Colonel Park shook his head. "No wonder they're losing. You can't win a war by running away, unless you're leading the enemy into a trap," Torres said thoughtfully. "Chen, could we use the Valian ships as bait?" "Possibly. If we could coordinate with them, we might be able to draw the Krugan fleet into a position where our superior tactics would be most effective." Tom Bradley, the ship's chief engineer, entered the briefing room carrying a tablet full of technical data. Bradley was a thin, nervous man who understood starship technology better than anyone in the fleet. "Commander, we have a problem," Bradley said. "Our weapons are designed to fight human ships with human armor. We don't know how effective they'll be against alien technology." "What do you recommend?" Torres asked. "I've been working on modifications," Bradley replied. "If we can get samples of alien materials, I can adjust our weapon frequencies for maximum effectiveness, but we'll need to capture some enemy equipment first." Torres considered this information. "So our first engagement will be a learning experience for both sides." "Yes, but we have advantages they don't," Bradley said. "Human technology is more flexible. We can adapt quickly to new situations. Based on the alien recordings, their technology seems more specialized and harder to modify." Admiral Sullivan visited the Retribution the day before departure. She walked through the ship's corridors, inspecting equipment and talking to crew members. Everyone knew this mission would make history. "Commander Torres," she said during the final briefing, "remember that you're not just representing Earth. You're showing the galaxy what humanity is capable of. Make it count." "Understood, Admiral. We won't let you down." The news of the alien mission had spread throughout human space. On Earth and the colonies, people gathered around communication screens to watch the departure of the Retribution. For the first time, humanity was going to war not against other humans, but against alien oppressors. Dr. Hayes stood in the space station's observation deck, watching the three ships prepare to jump to faster-than-light speed. She thought about the peaceful Valians who were counting on help from the legendary Deathworlders. They had no idea what they had awakened. The Retributions. Engines glowed bright blue as the ship entered hyperspace. Behind it, the escort vessels followed into the unknown. Earth's sleeping giant was fully awake now, and it was going to war. On distant worlds throughout the galaxy, other alien civilizations detected the faster-than-light signatures of human ships moving toward the outer rim. Ancient monitoring systems that had been silent for centuries suddenly came alive with activity. Something was happening that had never happened before. The humans were coming. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Valian territory. Commander Lisa Torres stood on the bridge of the Retribution, staring at the main screen in amazement. The Valian solar system was beautiful, beyond imagination. "Look, at that," whispered Lieutenant Amy Chen from her tactical station. The planets glowed with soft colors, blues, greens, and purples that seemed to shimmer in the starlight. Even from this distance, they could see that the worlds were covered with cities that looked more like gardens than military installations. "Captain Alex Rivera to Commander Torres," came a voice over the communication system. Rivera commanded the reconnaissance ship Pioneer, which had jumped ahead to scout the system. "Go ahead, Captain," Torres replied. "Commander, you need to see this. I'm sending you images from the third planet." The main screen filled with pictures that made everyone on the bridge fall silent. Massive structures that looked like crystal flowers reached toward the sky. Gardens and parks filled every space. Between buildings, waterfalls flowed down the sides of tall towers, creating rainbows in the alien sunlight. "It's like something from a dream," said Tom Bradley, the chief engineer. "And it's all under attack," Torres said grimly. Even from space, they could see the dark smoke rising from several cities where Krugan forces had already landed. "Commander," Rivera's voice continued, "I'm detecting multiple Valian ships approaching our position. They don't appear to be armed." Torres turned to Chen. "Defensive positions, but don't power weapons unless I give the order. We're here to help them, not frighten them." 3 Valian ships approached the human fleet. They were unlike any vessels the humans had ever seen. Instead of the angular metal designs humans preferred, these ships curved and flowed like living things. They were made of some kind of translucent material that caught and reflected light in beautiful patterns. "Incoming transmission," reported the communications officer. "On screen," Torres ordered. The alien face that appeared on the screen made several crew members gasp. The Valian was tall and elegant, with skin that seemed to be made of living crystal. Its features were delicate and refined, and its large eyes held intelligence and deep sadness. "Unknown vessels," the alien said in accented but clear English. "I am Nira, speaker for the Valian Council. Are you the ones who answered our call for help?" Torres stepped forward. "I am Commander Lisa Torres of the Earth vessel Retribution. We received your distress signal and have come to offer assistance." Nira's crystal-like face showed amazement. "Earth? You are from the world of the legendary Deathworlders?" "We are human," Torres replied. "And yes, we are here to help." "This is beyond our hopes," Nira said, her voice filled with wonder. "We had heard stories, whispers of beings from a world so dangerous that it created the ultimate warriors, but we thought they were myths." Colonel Dave Park, standing beside Torres, spoke up. "We're real enough, and we don't like bullies." Within hours, Torres and a small team transferred to the Valian flagship for a face-to-face meeting. The inside of the alien ship was as beautiful as its exterior. Everything curved and flowed, with soft light coming from the walls themselves. Gardens grew in alcoves throughout the ship, filling the air with sweet scents. Nira led them to a meeting chamber, where other Valian leaders waited. The humans felt like giants among these delicate beings. The aliens moved with grace and spoke in soft, musical voices. "We must warn you," Nira said as they sat around a circular table made of what looked like solid light. "The Krugans are unlike anything in our experience. They show no mercy, accept no surrender, and destroy everything they cannot use." Torres leaned forward. Tell us about their military capabilities. Another Vaalian, introduced as Engineer Kale, activated a holographic display. Their ships are massive and heavily armed. They rely on brute force and superior numbers. Their ground forces are nearly unstoppable in direct combat. What about their tactics? Asked Lieutenant Chen. Simple, Nira replied sadly. They gather their fleets into one massive formation and attack the strongest point in our defenses. When we try to run, they pursue and destroy us. When we try to fight, they overwhelm us with firepower. Colonel Park studied the tactical information. How many worlds have they taken? 12 so far, Kale answered. Each time we hoped our peaceful nature would touch something good in their hearts. Each time they proved that no such thing exists in them. Torres exchanged glances with her officers. These aliens truly had no concept of warfare. They had tried to negotiate with conquerors and appeal to the mercy of beings who showed none. What do you know about the Krugan leadership? Torres asked. Their fleet is commanded by War Chief Gorax, Nira said. He has conquered 17 different star systems. No one has ever defeated him in battle. He considers warfare to be the highest form of art. Where is he now? 3 days' travel from here, gathering his forces for the final assault on our homeworld. Our remaining fleet is no match for his armada. Torres stood up and walked to the viewing port. In the distance, she could see more Vaalian ships fleeing from the outer planets. Families abandoning their homes, carrying whatever they could save. Nira, she said, turning back to the alien leader, we need you to understand something about humans. We evolved on a world where everything was trying to kill us. We learned to fight not because we enjoyed it, but because we had to survive. I do not understand, Nira said. What the commander means, Colonel Park explained, is that we know how to deal with predators, and that's what the Krugans are. Predators who have grown too comfortable hunting prey that won't fight back. Chen activated her tactical display, showing the human fleet positions. We're going to show Gorax something he's never seen before. Prey that fights back and fights smart. The meeting was interrupted by urgent alarms. A Vaalian officer rushed into the chamber. Speaker Nira, the officer said breathlessly. Long-range sensors detect the Krugan advance fleet. They're moving, faster than expected. War Chief Gorax will arrive in 2 days, not 3. Torres immediately contacted her ship. Retribution, this is Torres. Prepare for combat operations. The enemy is ahead of schedule. Commander, came Tom Bradley's voice over the communicator. I'm reading massive energy signatures approaching from the outer system. Whatever's coming, it's big. Torres turned to Nira. You're about to see why other species call us Deathworlders. Get your civilian ships to safety. The real war is about to begin. As the human and Vaalian leaders prepared for the coming battle, deep space sensors detected the approaching Krugan fleet. Hundreds of dark, angular ships moved through space like a plague of metal locusts. At their head flew the massive command vessel of War Chief Gorax. The War Chief stood in his command chamber, studying reports of the mysterious new ships that had appeared in Vaalian space. His massive form was covered in battle scars, and his forearms ended in claws that had torn apart enemies on a dozen worlds. Insects, he growled to his subordinates. Small creatures thinking they can challenge the might of the Krugan Empire. We will crush them and add their world to our conquests. But as his fleet drew closer to the battle zone, Gorax began to receive more detailed sensor readings of the human ships. The enemy vessels were smaller than his own, but they moved with purpose and precision unlike anything he had seen before. For the first time in his long career of conquest, War Chief Gorax felt a tiny spark of uncertainty. These new opponents were positioning themselves in patterns he did not recognize, using tactics that made no sense according to traditional warfare. The sleeping giant of humanity was awake, and it was about to teach the galaxy a lesson about what real warriors could do. War Chief Gorax stood in the command center of his massive flagship, the Iron Fist. Through the viewing ports, he could see his fleet of 300 warships spread across space like a dark cloud. Never before had such a force been assembled for a single conquest. War Chief, reported his tactical officer, a scarred Krugan named Vex. The small alien fleet has positioned itself between us and the Valian homeworld. Gorax studied the tactical display with growing amusement. The enemy had only 3 ships compared to his hundreds. How many vessels do these insects have? 3 confirmed warships, sir. Several smaller support craft. 3 ships? Gorax laughed, a sound like grinding metal. They dare challenge the might of the Krugan Empire with 3 ships? This will be over quickly. On the bridge of the Retribution, Commander Lisa Torres watched the approaching Krugan fleet with calm determination. The enemy ships were indeed massive, each one larger than her entire task force, but size was not everything in space combat. Lieutenant Chen, what's our tactical assessment? Torres asked. Amy Chen studied her sensor readings carefully. The Krugan formation is exactly what we expected, Commander. They're arranged in a simple wedge formation designed for direct assault. No scouts, no reserves, no flexibility. Colonel Park, are your Marines ready? Dave Park nodded grimly. If any of those ships get close enough for boarding action, we'll be ready. But I hope it doesn't come to that. Tom Bradley, how are our weapon modifications? The chief engineer looked up from his console. I've analyzed the energy signatures from the Krugan ships. Their shields are powerful but operate on a single frequency. If we can adjust our weapons to match that frequency, we should be able to punch through their defenses. Torres activated the fleet communication system. All ships, this is Commander Torres. Remember, we're not here to fight fair. We're here to win and save the Valians. Execute Battle Plan Alpha on my mark. The Krugan fleet moved forward at steady speed, expecting the small human force to either flee or make a desperate frontal attack. War Chief Gorax had seen both responses countless times before. Sir, reported Vex, the enemy ships are moving. Gorax watched as the 3 human vessels began to spread out, taking positions that made no tactical sense. What are they doing? That formation leaves them vulnerable to concentrated fire. Perhaps they are cowards trying to run, suggested another officer. No, Gorax said slowly. They're positioning themselves for something. But what? He got his answer moments later. The human ship suddenly accelerated to incredible speeds, far faster than any Krugan vessel could match. Instead of meeting the Krugan wedge head-on, they split apart and attacked from 3 different angles simultaneously. Impossible, roared Gorax as energy beams lanced out from the human ships, striking his fleet from directions he had not defended. No ship can move that fast. The Retribution dove beneath the Krugan formation, its weapons targeting the engine sections of enemy ships. Where human energy beams struck, Krugan vessels exploded or lost power. Tom Bradley's frequency modifications worked perfectly, cutting through alien shields like they were made of paper. Captain Alex Rivera in the Pioneer struck from above, targeting command centers and communication arrays. His smaller ship moved like a deadly dancer, too fast for the massive Krugan weapons to track. The 3rd human ship, the Defender commanded by Captain Maya Singh, attacked from the flank, creating chaos in the Krugan formation as enemy ships tried to turn to face threats from multiple directions at once. They're everywhere at once, Vex shouted over the noise of explosions and alarms. How can 3 ships be in so many places? War Chief Gorax felt something he had never experienced before. Confusion. His enemies were not fighting according to any rules he understood. They struck without warning, disappeared before he could respond, then appeared somewhere else entirely. All ships concentrate fire on the largest enemy vessel, he commanded. 200 Krugan ships turned their weapons toward the Retribution. The space around Torres's ship filled with deadly energy beams. But the human commander had anticipated this response. Now, Chen, Torres ordered. The Retribution suddenly stopped its forward motion and dropped toward the planet below, using the gravity well to accelerate beyond what should have been possible. The concentrated Krugan fire struck empty space where the human ship had been seconds before. They're using the planet's gravity as a weapon, breathed Tom Bradley in amazement as he watched the tactical display. The human ships regrouped behind the cover of one of the system's moons, having destroyed or disabled 30 Krugan vessels in their first attack run. They had taken no damage themselves. War Chief Gorax stared at his tactical display in disbelief. In less than 10 minutes, he had lost more ships than in his last 5 conquests combined. These were not the helpless prey he was used to hunting. "War Chief," Vex said quietly, "perhaps we should reconsider our approach." "Never!" Gorax roared. "We are Krugen. We do not retreat from insects." But even as he spoke, the human ships emerged from behind the moon for their second attack. This time, they used a different strategy entirely. The 3 ships formed a line and charged directly at the center of the Krugen formation. For a moment, Gorax thought they were finally making the suicidal frontal attack he expected. Then the human ships did something impossible. They passed through his formation without slowing down, their weapons firing continuously. But instead of trying to engage every enemy ship, they targeted only the command vessels and supply ships. In 30 seconds, the humans had crippled the Krugen fleet's ability to coordinate and resupply. Ship commanders found themselves unable to communicate with each other or receive orders from War Chief Gorax. "Sir," Vex reported, his voice shaking, "we've lost contact with 60% of the fleet. The enemy has cut our communication lines." Colonel Park watched the battle from the Retribution's marine deck. "They're fighting like a pack, not like a herd," he said to his soldiers. "Each human ship knows what the others are doing without being told. That's what 20,000 years of hunting together will teach you." The third human attack was the most devastating. Instead of engaging the main Krugen force, the human ships targeted the troop transports that were carrying ground forces for the invasion of the Velian homeworld. These ships were heavily armored but slow and clumsy. The human vessels moved among them like sharks among fish, destroying transport after transport. Thousands of Krugen soldiers died without ever reaching the planet they were meant to conquer. War Chief Gorax realized with growing horror that his supposedly easy conquest had turned into a disaster. Half his fleet was destroyed or disabled, his communications were cut, and his ground forces were being systematically eliminated. "All ships," he commanded through the few remaining communication channels, "withdraw to minimum safe distance. We must regroup and analyze these new enemies." But as the surviving Krugen ships began to retreat, they discovered that the humans were not finished with them. The 3 human vessels pursued the fleeing fleet, picking off stragglers and preventing any organized withdrawal. For the first time in his career, War Chief Gorax was forced to order a full retreat. His mighty fleet, which had conquered 17 star systems, fled from 3 human ships like frightened children running from monsters. On the Vaelian homeworld, billions of crystal-skinned beings watched their defense screens in amazement. The legendary Deathworlders had arrived, and they were everything the stories claimed and more. Nira stood in the planetary command center, tears of relief flowing down her crystalline face. "They saved us," she whispered. "The humans actually saved us." 3 days after the battle, War Chief Gorax sat alone in his damaged command chamber. His mighty fleet had been reduced to less than half its original strength. Ships that had conquered entire worlds now drifted in space with broken engines and shattered weapon systems. The Iron Fist itself bore scars from the human attack. Deep burns marked its hull where energy beams had cut through armor that was supposed to be impenetrable. For the first time in his life, Gorax understood what it felt like to be defeated. "War Chief," his aide Vex entered cautiously. "We're receiving a transmission from the human fleet." Gorax straightened in his command chair. Perhaps these mysterious warriors would demand his surrender, or threaten to destroy his remaining ships. He had prepared himself for humiliation. The face that appeared on his screen was that of Commander Lisa Torres. She looked calm and professional, not like a conqueror gloating over victory. "War Chief Gorax," Torres said. "I am Commander Torres of the Earth Defense Force. I believe we need to talk. You have defeated me," Gorax replied, his voice heavy with the weight of his failure. "State your terms for my surrender." Torres shook her head. "I'm not here to accept your surrender. I'm here to offer you something better." Gorax felt confusion. In his experience, victory meant domination and defeat meant destruction. "I do not understand." "Humans have a saying," Torres explained. "The enemy of my enemy is my friend. You're a warrior, Gorax, a good one. But you've been wasting your skills, conquering peaceful civilizations that can't fight back. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that the galaxy has real threats that require real warriors to face them. Threats that would challenge even the Krugan Empire. 6 hours later, Gorax found himself aboard the Retribution, walking through corridors filled with the legendary Deathworlders. The humans were smaller than Krugans but moved with a deadly efficiency that commanded respect. Commander Torres led him to a meeting room where other human officers waited. Gorax recognized Lieutenant Chen, whose tactical brilliance had outmaneuvered his entire fleet, and Colonel Park, whose reputation as a ground fighter was already spreading among the surviving Krugan soldiers. "Sit," Torres said, gesturing to a chair that had been reinforced to support Gorax's massive frame. "You fought well," Gorax admitted grudgingly. "Better than any enemy I have faced. How did you develop such tactics?" 20,000 years of evolution on a world that tried to kill us every day, Colonel Park replied. "We learned to fight smart, because we had to." Torres activated a holographic display showing star charts of the outer galaxy regions. "Gorax, what do you know about the Void Hunters?" The war chief's eyes widened. "Ancient legends speak of machine intelligences that devour entire star systems, but they are myths, stories told to frighten young warriors." "They're not myths," Lieutenant Chen said quietly. "Our deep space sensors have detected artificial signals from the galactic rim. Something is out there, and it's moving toward inhabited space." Gorax studied the star charts with growing unease. If even half the legends about the Void Hunters were true, they represented a threat beyond anything the galaxy had ever faced. "You're proposing an alliance," he said slowly. "I'm proposing that warriors should fight real threats, not helpless civilians," Torres replied. "The Krugans are strong. The humans are tactical. Together, we might be able to defend the galaxy when the real enemy arrives." Meanwhile, on the Valian homeworld, Nira stood before the Council of Speakers in the Great Crystal Chamber. The assembled leaders of her people listened in amazement as she described the human warriors who had saved their civilization. "They call themselves Deathworlders," Nira explained. "But they are not the monsters we might have imagined. They are disciplined, honorable, and they fight only to protect the innocent." Elder Kale, the oldest member of the council, spoke carefully. "These humans have shown us that there are forces in the galaxy we never understood. Perhaps it is time for the Valian people to learn new ways." "What do you mean, Elder?" "For millennia we have believed that intelligence and peaceful intentions were enough to ensure survival. The humans have shown us that sometimes force is the only language that evil understands." Nira nodded sadly. "Commander Torres has offered to establish a permanent human base in our system. In exchange, they want to learn about our advanced sciences and peaceful technologies. And what do we gain besides protection?" "The chance to learn from warriors who fight with honor," Nira replied. "They could teach us to defend ourselves while we teach them to preserve what is worth defending." News of the human victory spread throughout the galaxy faster than anyone had expected. On 1,000 worlds, alien civilizations that had never heard of Earth suddenly learned about the species that had defeated the unstoppable Krugan Empire. Admiral Kate Sullivan arrived in the Valian system 2 weeks later with a full diplomatic fleet. She brought scientists, engineers, and cultural specialists to begin the complex process of establishing Earth's first permanent presence in alien space. "Commander Torres," Admiral Sullivan said during their first meeting, "your victory has changed everything. Half the galaxy wants to meet these legendary Deathworlders, and the other half is probably planning how to destroy us before we become a threat." "What are our orders, Admiral?" "Build something lasting," Sullivan replied. "The Valians need protection, the Krugans need direction, and humanity needs allies. Make it work." The construction of Harmony Station began 3 months later in the Wamber space between the Valian homeworld and the edge of former Krugan territory. The station was built using human engineering, Valian crystal technology, and Krugan metallurgy. It represented something that had never existed before, a truly cooperative effort between 3 completely different species. Commander Torres was appointed as the station's first commander. Her staff included both human officers and alien specialists. Lieutenant Chen worked with Valian scientists to develop new defensive technologies, while Colonel Park trained the first mixed-species security force. War Chief Gorax, now holding the title of Strategic Advisor, proved surprisingly effective at organizing the defense of the outer systems. His knowledge of Krugan military assets, combined with human tactics and Valian technology, created a defensive network stronger than anything the galaxy had seen. Tom Bradley established the first interspecies engineering corps, teaching alien engineers human adaptability, while learning alien techniques that had been developed over thousands of years. The exchange of knowledge benefited everyone involved. Dr. Emma Hayes arrived from Earth to head the new Department of Alien Communication. Her job was to establish contact with other civilizations and determine which ones might be potential allies or threats. "The galaxy is watching us," Hayes told Torres during one of their regular briefings. "Every species that has faster-than-light travel knows about the battle. Some are curious, some are afraid, and some are already planning how to test us." "Let them come," Torres replied. Humanity didn't come this far to hide from challenges, as the first year of human presence in alien space drew to a close. The effects of the sleeping giant's awakening became clear. The Krugan Empire had transformed from a force of conquest into a defensive alliance. The Valian civilization had survived and begun to learn the difference between peace and helplessness. Most importantly, the galaxy now knew that the Deathworlders were real, and they had chosen to use their power to protect rather than conquer. The age of human isolation was over, and the age of galactic cooperation had begun.